Hello and welcome to Mandobug Crafts, episode 135, live! Oh, that rhymes today. What's up, everybody? My name is Amanda, but you may know me on the internet as Mandobug, and this is my crafty podcast where I share the things that I've been knitting, crocheting, sewing, whatever crafty thing I've been doing in the last usually about a week. This episode today, I have some crochet projects, crochet design, a mini yarn review and a mini hook review, crochet hook review, and then just general chat at the end. So if you're watching live, go ahead and pop in the chat here and let me know that you're watching, and feel free to ask any questions throughout the episode. I will keep up with chat as I can. And then if you're watching this on the replay, feel free to leave any comments or questions in the comments section down below, and I will get back to you usually within a week. So starting out with something I've learned. You guys taught me this, kind of. You know what I mean? You guys suggested this in last week's episode about my sleeves on the everyday swing cardigan that I'm designing. I had issues with the seam, and you guys helped me out. You said you can just turn after every row. Duh. I didn't know this. I feel like I should preface that with I've been crocheting for a long time, right? I learned when I was really, really young, and it's something that stayed with me throughout my life. And that's not something I learned when I was younger. And then I really got into knitting hardcore, and I never crocheted garments. Like in all those early years, there was never a garment that was appealing to me, or I could not afford a garment quantity of sweater yarn. So I think all those things adding up is why I had never tried the turning at the end of a round. Did I say row? I meant round. So when you're working in the round, you turn every round, you join and then you turn, you join and you turn. And that keeps your seam straight because your seam leans to the direction of whatever hand you are. So if you're right-handed, your seam starts leaning to the right. If you're left-handed, it leans to the left. The turning directions keeps it on track because one row you're leaning to the right, but when you turn, it makes it lean to the left. And then when you turn, it leans back to the right, and that ends up keeping it straight up the middle. So let me catch up with who's all here this morning, and I'll show you my sweater. Good morning, Catherine. I must have a delay again. Oh no, a delay in my voice or a delay in the video or a delay in the live? Hi, Nancy Knits and Crochets. Thanks for joining the live stream. Good morning, Kim. Good morning, Lacey. Hi, Nancy, Mocha, and Lacey. Good morning, Lori. Awesome. So I'm so glad you guys have joined me for the live today. So here is the Everyday Swing cardigan. It is so close to completion. I am very, very excited about this sweater. So if you haven't seen, this sweater uses Stardust Fiber Studio Del. Maybe you guys can, I'm getting too much glare. Delphinus Sport, and it's in the Pumpkin Queen colorway, which was dyed exclusively for me. Well, explicitly for me? Is that that's the word that's coming to mind? It was dyed based on my favorite color photos that I sent in to the dyers. It is exclusive to the new knittery. If you want this colorway from Stardust Fiber Studios, you have to order it from that yarn shop. I have it all linked down below. And it comes across a variety of bases. I got it on their sport base, the Delphinus Sport, which is 100% superwash merino wool. There's 328 yards per 100 grams here. It's a nice, fluffy sport weight. And I swear it feels like there's cashmere in here. We'll talk a little bit about the softness of fibers later in the episode, but this merino is so freaking soft that I would swear it was a cashmere blend. So I am designing a top-down, seamless, modified raglan, modified in the sense that I modified the rate of increases along the raglan structure. And I've added my sleeves. They're on, both of them. So I ripped out this finished sleeve from last week with the ugly seam, and I ripped out the half a sleeve that was already there. And I completely redid them. And I've started the front panel. So I will try... Here it is. I've started the front ribbing for the front panel. I will try it on and show you guys what it's looking like. And the seam, though, that's something I've learned. There is a seam, but it's much, much harder to see. So you guys can see that running along the inside there. Just ever so slightly, there is a seam, but you can't notice it. Really, it's on the underarm and it's straight. What more could you ask for? And because you're working flat, technically you're working flat fabric, even though you're connecting it to join in the round at the end of the round, that keeps the fabric the same as it was through the body. So I didn't have to do that weird through the back and third loop stitch, which actually made writing out the sleeves 100 times easier because it is the same row that you're repeating. Whereas back what I had before, you would have to do a plain row and then a row in the back and third loop. And that made writing it much more complicated, keeping those decreases all together. Lacey says everything seems fine on her end. So I don't know what the delay is. I'm so sorry. It's a delay on your start, but this time it was way shorter. Oh, interesting. That's weird. Wow, that's beautiful, Amanda. Thank you, Nancy. I'll go ahead and try it on. I'm loving the fit. This was designed based on one of my favorite store-bought cardigans and the things that I like about cardigans. Because I like I'm learning. I like the concept of cardigans, but I really don't like the way most cardigans wear. Good morning, VJ. Thanks for joining the live this morning. And thank you, Kim. Yeah, look at those sleeves. So there's that seam, but it's straight and it's all under the underarm. Whereas in last week's video, do you remember it was like curving across my arm and much, much more noticeable. So, yeah. Thank you guys so much for suggesting that. I know, Mocha, that you had suggested it. And I think Catherine as well. I'm going to count a phrase here. You guys ready? Okay, this yarn is a hypertonal. It means that it's such a high contrast tonal that it's almost variegated. I'm falling in love with these. I like that, hypertonal. Yeah, because it isn't quite fully variegated, but it is a little too variegated to be a tonal. It's like this weird in between, but I do love the way that it's working up. I put this marker here, you guys, because it was my goal. I'll talk about that in a minute. But the hyper variegated, right? I think that's a good way to describe this. And I do like the way that it's working up. I am alternating skeins as I make this. So I'm using one skein for 2 colors or 2 rows, and then the next skein for 2 rows. So striping them together helps keep the colors from looking like harsh lines. If I stand up, I do have kind of harsh lines on the sleeves here because I started striping in a much darker skein, but it's striped into the lighter skein. And so you can almost see that striping effect, but it just looks super variegated. Like Lacey said, hyper variegated. When I went and did the ribbing on the cuffs, I just used one skein because, you guys, I did not want to try striping yarns in slip stitch or single crochet in the back loop only ribbing. I call it applied ribbing. Some people call it ribbing as you go. I didn't want to try to do 2 yarns. It just was going to not be fun. And I really think it's fine the way that it is. I love the sleeve length. As you can tell, I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt. It's perfect. And superwash will grow a little bit. So if it gets a little longer, also perfect. I love that it's not choking my arm. It's a nice snug fit. The only thing is, because it's a snug fit, you might not want to wear those graphic tees that have really baggy arms. It might get a little bunched up in here because it is a more fitted sleeve versus a super baggy sleeve. But this is how I like my cardigans. So let me show you the front panel. And by the way, I've gotten this completely written up finally. So I only have a few more details that I need to take away from this sample when I finish it, like how much yarn I used. I'm going to use that to calculate estimated yardage. And I've got a couple diagrams I'm going to make about stitch marker setup and what that should look like in your piece to help you make the project. Once those 2 things are added, it's ready to go to the tech editor. And then I get to do a call for testers, and I'm super excited about that. Okay, so with the ribbing. So let me try to back up. I'm like in my couch, so I have to kind of climb on it so you guys can see. So it has very wide front panels. And then there's this extra wide front panel that's going to be added all the way around the whole front of the cardigan. So this is actually, once it's up on your neck, is going to like fold over and be like a really thick collar around the back of your neck as well. But it's pretty wide. It's about 5 inches wide. So doing it as you go back and forth is taking forever. This is a 4mm crochet hook with sport weight yarn. So I had been placing markers to kind of like feel like I was finishing sections. So I had just hit my marker here, and then this was my next marker for the next time I knew I could sit down and really put some work into this. But yeah, so the cool thing, I want to have maybe, oh, let me just push you guys back. Let's try that. Sorry. Here we go. So I can stand up in front of my couch. So what happens with all this extra fabric in the front is the weight starts to hang it down, and you get this cool V shape at the bottom. So it's this is the leg. I've got my shoulders shrugged, by the way, so I can lift this up so you can see it. So this is kind of how it's fitting regularly. But to show you the bottom, the weight brings it down lower in the front. And that's just, oh, maybe it's better to show you on this side. Can you see that? It's so cool. I love it so much. And I think that kind of blocked my microphone, so I hope you guys could hear me okay. So I'm moving you around today because I'm so excited about this sweater. Like, I'm actually excited I get to make another one because I want like 10 of these. This is so comfortable. If it's so good, it's so soft, it's so warm, and just like, my problem with cardigans is there's no front to them. And I like to like this. Do you guys do this too? Let me catch up with you guys. Let's see. The sleeves are perfect. Thank you. Your cardigan looks so perfect on you. Thank you. And yay, sleeves. They actually zoom by pretty freaking fast. Good morning, Bat Stitch Crazy. So glad you could make the live today. Those sleeves are on point, right? Like, nailed it. It only took me 2 times. The sleeves are perfect. Thank you. Good afternoon, Kenna. Your cardigan is beautiful. Well, thank you so much. And good morning, Acela. I've got an update on the Ice Cream Party Cardi adult version, the Ice Cream Tweed Delight, which literally was inspired by your suggestion to make the adult size. So that's coming later. I love the shoulders. Yes, the shoulders fit so well. Like, it's snug, but the stitches aren't stressed. Ah, so good. And the neck, the cast on for the neck, I made it pretty small so that it would be nice and snug up here too, and not like super wide and falling off. Earthquake. Yeah, sorry, you guys. I use this table that it has a front, but there's no back support on the other end. So anytime I move anything, it bounces. I'm so sorry. I need to actually get like a legitimate table. It's going to fold over and drape to the side. You're making a stage mom, soccer mom cardigan. All the memories, and I'm going to have to make one. Yes, yes, and yes. That's exactly it. That is what I call swing cardigans. And yeah, it's no wonder it's popular with soccer moms and stage moms. It's like a cloak of not invisibility, but almost like camouflaging your body. Doing good. Hope you are also, Maud. Oh, am I missing? Oh, Maud, did I miss your comment, Maud? If I ever miss your guys' comments, it's totally by accident. So please don't feel like I'm ignoring you. I'm not. Hello, Maud. Let's see. Aftershock. Catherine, Amanda, it is amazing. Thank you so much. I haven't been this excited about a design since the ghost shawl, the Lift Your Spirit shawl. Hello, Divergent Crafter. And I think I'm caught up now. Everyone's saying hi. So yes, that is the Everyday Swing cardigan. And I have swatched for the tutorials and the more budget-friendly option. So I showed you guys last week, I had just received some Knit Picks We Crochet Brava Sport, which is 100% acrylic, and it retails, at least for my region, a little less than $4. It's like $3 and change per skein. It's about the same price for Wool of the Andes Sport. And I swatched in the same color because this is going to be the color I end up using for the tutorials because it's nice and light, easy to see, also super easy to wear. So let's take a look at the swatches. Can you tell them apart? I think the only, let me get the strings out of the way. I think the only thing that really gives away which is which is the color. So one of the fibers takes the color slightly differently. Both of these are the Dove Heather colorway. Both of them were the exact same number of stitches, the exact same number of rows. I got gauge with both perfectly, and I love the fabric. It's nice and closed, but also still squishy. Sorry, there we go. I'll get used to that eventually. So here is drape. I like to do it from the top, but then also from the side, so you get an idea of how it's going to hang from all directions. Honestly, I'm happy with the drape of both. Pretty identical. As far as feel goes, one of these is way softer than the other. Let me see if anyone could guess the difference. Actually, I might not be able to tell by your guys' guesses though. So I'll just go ahead and say this one is the acrylic. This is the Brava Sport. This one is Wool of the Andes Sport. The acrylic is actually what I'm going to go with because it's so almost identical in drape and color, but it's so much softer and it's half the price, right? I said the balls were the same price, but the Wool of the Andes comes in 50 grams while the Brava comes in 100. So technically the wool is twice as much as the acrylic. So Brava Sport, here we go. It's a little, it doesn't, like, if you go from the corner, which is how our fronts are going to drape, it's a little stiffer than the wool, but I really think that I'm going to be happy with this choice. The Wool of the Andes, which is something I wanted to talk about too. So in last week's live, Lindsay Knitwim was here and mentioned that she made a sweater out of Wool of the Andes worsted. Didn't have a problem working with it. It wasn't until she finished the sweater that she put it on and was like, oh, this is too itchy. I cannot wear it, which is extremely unfortunate. And I was feeling up on the ball. So this is 100% Peruvian Highland wool. So it's not merino. It's specifically Peruvian Highland wool. I worked up the swatch and it does feel toothier than it does in the skein. It is a toothier yarn. So if you're somebody with wool sensitivities, this yarn is not for you. But if you're someone who likes toothier natural yarn and doesn't have sensitivities to even some of the scratchier Icelandic wools, then you'll be fine with this one. You have to remember that with wool, when you lose softness, you gain durability. So there is a room for all wools. Just know your preferences when you go into buying something. And I know that seems to be one of the biggest things that people want to know is, you know, they either don't like wool or they only like super fine, super soft wool, or they have sensitivities. How do you know? So I did that. And yeah, it's questionable. I think I could wear it, honestly, but I think if I was ever going to use this for a project, I would choose it for a project kind of like the knitted Fair Isle steeked sweater I made for my daughter. This kind of yarn would be great for something like that. It's got a little bit of a fuzzy bloom to it, so it's going to help close the gaps in the colorwork stitches. You can steek it and it will basically slightly felt to itself and you don't have to worry about those trimmed ends coming undone. I think that's what this yarn is worked best for. So I'm going with the Brava. I did want to mention though about the Peruvian Highland wool. I found in my, I I don't even know what I was searching for, but I was on Google and then it came up and it was like another question other people ask is Peruvian Highland wool soft? And I'm actually going to do a whole separate standalone video on this, but I thought I would share with you guys like the basics of what I found. So this Peruvian Highland wool, if you don't know anything about wool or the softness of wool, the softness of wool is measured by the diameter of the fiber off the sheep, the wool fiber. They take it and they measure the diameter, and it's so small, it's measured in microns, which is 1/1,000,000th of a meter. And so when people talk about how soft wool is, they do it in micron count. So, for example, merino. Merino is what you see a lot of in the wool market if it's going to be explicitly stating what type of wool it is. Some places leave it blank, right? Like they just say wool because it's either a blend or they don't know. Merino wool comes from merino sheep, and their micron count, I have this written down because I don't have it memorized yet. It's typically in the market, like in the commercial market, you'll see it between 19 and 21.5 microns is like your average. But merino actually has a really wide range, the merino sheep breed. So you can actually find merino out there that's micron count is as fine. The smaller the number, the softer, the finer the fiber. You can find it as low as 11, which is nuts. And then you can also find it as thick as 25. So if you've ever bought a merino wool that was kind of like, oh, this is not as soft as I expected, it is still most likely merino, just on the thicker micron side. And whenever I say like average grade merino, or not merino wool, sorry, average grade wool, this is what I'm talking about. Those wools that are kind of in your 25 micron range and thicker. So merino averages 19 to 21.5, right? Peruvian Highland wool is 24.5 to 28.5 microns. So that basically tells you it's a lot thicker. It's not nearly as soft as merino. So you just kind of know that going in. Oh, and what is Peruvian Highland wool? It's not a breed specifically like merino is. So merino is a breed of wool. Peruvian Highland wool refers to the location that the wool comes from. It comes from the highlands in Peru. And from what I was reading, there is the natural sheep were merino and Corriedale that kind of crossbred with each other naturally. So the wool comes from these sheep that are some sort of blend of merino and Corriedale. Merino, as we know, can create super fine fleeces. Corriedale is where some of that scratchy, toothier comes from. I think Corriedale was the second fiber I ever spun into yarn. And yeah, it felt like this. It felt like Peruvian Highland wool. So I did want to kind of throw that out there because I found that in my journey. And I actually have another Peruvian Highland wool. I actually have two, but I couldn't find the other one. Not for today's podcast, at least. This is Wool of the Andes Sport. This is Hobie Highland wool. So let me catch up in the chat and then I'll show you my little swatch of Hobie Highland. What is Kendra doing? Sorry, I have to leave. Oh, that's okay. My daughter and I are seeing the musical Oh my gosh, have so much fun. I've never been to any of I don't think I've ever been to a musical other than like high school productions. I was invited once to, I already forgot the name of it, Wicked, but I wasn't able to go. So let's see. Look at the size difference. You're talking about the size of the two yarns, I'm pretty sure. Same price, different quantities. The one in your right hand has a yellow base. Yes, so that is the wool. The wool, for whatever reason, has this like yellowish tinge to it. And it's just the way that the wool took the dye versus the acrylic. Lacey says she won't cheat. Did I miss that? Oh, whoa. I accidentally made my chat bigger, which isn't a bad thing. I see some difference in stitch definition. I don't know if it will refocus or not. Yeah, there is a slight difference in stitch definition. I think the acrylic has a little bit cleaner of a stitch definition where the wool is lacking a little bit because it does have that little slight fuzzy halo to it because it is a toothier wool. I like the wool of the Andes and drape, but the other is nice too. Yeah, they really are. And if you're on a budget, it's nice to know that the Brava seems to be a pretty close substitute for the wool of the Andes sport. Hello, Lindsay. Thanks for joining the live stream today. So when you were holding up the swatches, the Brava is actually fuller and fluffier looking. Yes, it is a little bit fuller and fluffier. I would say just a tad. And I think that has to do with all the extra air of the wool. It makes up its space by having air inside of it, where the acrylic doesn't really have a lot of air inside of it. The drape difference isn't enough to justify the cost difference or softness factor, in my humble opinion, of course. No, Mocha, I think you're spot on. It's no surprise that we agree there. I don't know that there's much of a draw to pay twice as much for this swatch when you can have this swatch. The only reason I could see would be if you're crafting from a place of eco-sustainability. Acrylic doesn't really break down over time. Wool is easily compostable. So that may be a reason why you would want to pay the difference. Or if acrylic overheats you, that's another reason too. I did not know that microns were a size measurement. Holy cow, that makes so much sense. Yeah, microns is if you ever want to learn more about that. I didn't learn about that till I started spinning fiber. And once you kind of jump into that rabbit hole and you start trying different breeds of wool and spinning different yarns, you really learn a lot about the fiber and the construction and what you want in a yarn and what is good for. That's where all my knowledge about this came from, was as diving into spinning for years and years and years and trial and error. And you guys see how I learn. I go, oh, I messed this up. I learned something new. So yeah, microns. It's a fun little rabbit hole to dive down. Oh, and like a side note, I didn't write it down, but I know as a general rule of thumb with cashmere, that is typically micron count 19 and less. So I'm pretty sure in the United States, you can't say that it's cashmere unless it's 19 microns or less. Working on my first Raglan sweater and curious, when doing the sleeves, is it normal for it to have a small gap between the body and sleeve? Off subject, sorry, just seen your sweater and curious. So yes. What happens, and she said Raglan, right? So are you knitting it or crocheting it? Either way, it happens because it's a little more noticeable in crochet depending on the stitch that you're doing. So I'll show you my underarm because I have it here. Depending on the designer. So I don't have any gaps because I specifically wrote decreases into those areas, into the sides of the rows to eliminate that gap. And that's the best thing you can do to get rid of that gap. Some designers write it in, you'll know because it'll tell you to decrease there. If it doesn't, what you can do is, if you're knitting, you can pick up stitches in the side. How do I describe this? So in a Raglan sweater, when you get to here, you leave your sleeves to be worked later. You chain or cast on under your arm and join to work your body. So when you come back to make your sleeve, you're working around the sleeve stitches that you left and your underarm chain or cast on. Right where the underarm, the chain meets the cast on, or no, right where the chain and cast on meet the sleeve stitches that you saved, there is a pull. In knitting, there's a pull in the bar of your stitch. And in crochet, there is like a stitch height of that row. And if you don't do anything, they don't sit together well and it creates a gap. So for the crochet version, I had you work into the side of that row and decrease it with the next stitch. And it, for me, it was half double crochet 2 together, and it places a stitch in that gap, but you also are decreasing it out so it doesn't change your stitch count. The concept is the same for knitting. That bar that's pulled, you can make one into that bar, but immediately decrease it into the next stitch. So like make 1, knit 2 together. And so that will place a stitch in the gap, but then also decrease it out so your stitch count doesn't change. So that's a substitute that you can do in any pattern that doesn't already close that gap. That's the same technique that I use in socks when you're making short row heels as well. Sometimes after going back and forth doing your short rows and you're ready to join again and work in the round, sometimes there's a gap where you had been working those short rows. I just pick up and decrease out any stitches to fill in that gap. So yeah, no, good question. And that probably is helpful for other people as well. I always wondered like how they determine the micron count. There were the expert wool squeezers out there or something. This makes so much more sense. From what I've read, and I could be wrong, there are labs that people take samples of fleeces and send them off to a lab, and then the lab analyzes them and sends the results back. Thank you, Amanda. That was great info. Well, you're welcome. It's interesting how different same breed sheep can be. Yes, my Hershey is half Shetland, half Gotland, is so soft, and his sister Helen is scratchy. It amazes me. It amazes me that even the micron changes from year to year, right, Lori? It's how yarn companies keep things consistent. They just must be blended on a mass scale. I was going to ask you, Lori, Dingo, because Jacob has been on my mind. Was Dingo mixed? He was Jacob. Was he Jacob Romney Cross? Because he was a big Jacob sheep. I've been meaning to ask you that because I feel like he was. And I loved his fleece so much. I wish I had so much yarn in his fleece. Amanda, when we go to the Wool Festival in New York, she's talking about Rhinebeck. We are like planning to go to Rhinebeck hopefully in a couple years. I've never been. I went to Maryland Sheep and Wool, but I've never been to Rhinebeck. We will have to see a musical before we leave or maybe see one there. Yeah, I've never been to one. Along with the dog wool, I bought some European sheep wool in purple and black to one day make your witch cauldron socks. Yeah, I know. Those are sitting in a cubby. I decided to just put them to the side until next Halloween. So hopefully they'll be coming out this coming year. I still need to cast on my first pair of socks though. Yeah, definitely get a first pair out of the way because colorwork socks is a whole nother deal. But at least my witch socks are made using worsted weight, so they work up super fast. They're more like cozy house socks. Probably next week's because I'm finally almost finished with my Christmas presents. Yay! Well, congrats on getting those done. Even though it's after the season, I know when I miss deadlines, I just want to give up on it. But yay, congrats! And then you can cast on your first sock. I had to look. Kiviot's 15 microns. Human hair is 50 to 70. Yeah, Kiviot's so freaking soft. I still have all the fancy Kiviot yarn that my partner bought for me. That's very expensive. I plan to do separate videos on them one day, swatching them up. Probably design something with them. But yeah, 15 microns. When you're looking at 16 microns or less, it's incredibly soft. I've seen merino as soft as 16 micron. Typically, yarn companies will market that as super fine merino. So if you're someone with wool sensitivities, if you ever see super fine merino on a band, you're set. You know for sure. You don't even have to touch it before you buy it. But it's going to be expensive. I know the super fine merino that was 16 micron that I bought was $32 for 100 grams. Very expensive, but also really worth it. I really liked your spinning video. Which one? It's a crochet sweater. Makes so much sense. Thank you. Yeah, especially if it's half double crochet or larger, it's that row end. If you just work into the stitch, you've got like a gap there. So I work into it and decrease it out. He was purebred. I know I'm getting Jacob, you guys. Like that is... I'm pretty sure that's the sheep I'm going to own when I own sheep. Lindsay, you need to come with us to Rhinebeck. You're closer than we are, too. We'll just meet and get a hotel there together. That's what I was thinking. Oreo was Romney Jacob. His fleece was still really good too. I liked Dingo's fleece better, but Oreo had a great fleece. And was a sweet sheep. Now that I'm about to have a farm, I wish I could take him. Oh, sourcing my sheep is going to be like the most stressful part. Not because it's going to be hard, but like I want to make the right choices because I'm going to be raising for fiber and I'm very picky. So is that yeah, oh yeah, all is alpaca measured by microns? Yes. All fiber is measured by micron. I want to say I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it's going to be in near merino and softer. Usually I think the range is softer than merino for alpaca. The only thing is you have to be careful that the alpaca has been de-haired properly because those guard hairs, if they get through, are scratchy. There's equipment for all of that. But sometimes it's not done well and those guard hairs poke through. So you'll feel a really soft yarn and then it'll still have a prickle factor to it. I got merino online and was very disappointed it wasn't really soft. Must have been closer to the 25 microns. Yeah, that's why I mentioned that. In the post that I had read, they said typical commercial merino is 19 to 21 and a half, but that's not the only merino out there. It can get up to 25. And I wanted to mention that because I feel like I've also bought yarn that was explicitly on the label merino, but it wasn't the softest merino, which is fine, but you don't know what you're buying if you're buying online and you haven't touched it. So that's the one kind of sign me up. The more yarn lovers, the merrier. Oh, yes, this has to happen. I guess it was your last one where you got roving fiber for, the monthly subscription. So neat to watch it get spun up. Yes. So last year I was part of the Paradise Fibers club where they sent you a box full of fiber. And the thing that's really fun about Paradise Fibers Club is it's not just a dyed braid of wool. They have unique wools and wool blends, and not even just wool. Sometimes I think I had silk and alpaca. So just spinning fiber in general, they really customize their own stuff. They have their own blends. They have their own sources. They did 1 month. It was like American made organic wool. So I really enjoy that about their club. So if you're a spinner and you're looking to try some new fibers and you like mystery boxes. I don't know why I couldn't think about that. They have great mystery boxes. They usually come with fiber, sometimes a fun activity. Like I did, one of them came with stuff to ice dye. One of them came with stuff to walnut dye. Fun spinning add-ons like Angelina and Tweedy bits. It's just, I absolutely love their fiber club. I just stopped doing it because now that my daughter's 1, I never get time at my spinning wheel. And so I haven't been able to keep up with the clubs. So that's why I stopped. But if I had time and was spinning more, I would be in that club. I'm not affiliated with them at all. I only have my Hobbii affiliate. So this is completely from personal experience. I really enjoyed their boxes. And I love spinning. I miss it. Now I'm dying to know how many microns the Sportway alpaca base is that I love so much from Lilith Rose, the one you made Presley hat with. Oh, I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's fine. It's probably 18 or less microns, all said and done with the blend. And when you buy spinning fiber, even the merino will tell you, like there's like 19 micron merino, 21 and a half merino. Like especially I think Paradise Fiber does that with their spinning fibers. Their merino will have the micron count on there. So you know that it's going to be a finer merino versus a toothier merino, which there are purposes for both. You really want to be able to, like I said, when you get softer, you lose durability. When you get softer, you're more likely to pill, those kind of things. But preparation and spinning, there's just so much that goes into making a yarn that can change its final end form and product. I was stressing the sleeves on VJ's live last Friday, and she's like, Mandobug was just covering that. I was stressed about the gap. Yeah, well, hopefully you're not too far away and you can go back and fix that. The other really easy fix is after you're done to just sew the gap shut, and most people can't see it until the very first knit sweater I made, I didn't know about that, and I did have gaps, and I just went in with the yarn and sewed it together, and you can't tell. Oh, my husband loved that spinning video of yours, Amanda, with the Paradise fibers. He is interested in spinning and the natural fiber sourcing in general. That's really cool. Yeah, I really liked making those videos when I was getting the monthly box. I just wasn't able to keep up with it anymore. Okay, I've got another work in progress to share. It's Mocha's design. So Kim's hanging out in the chat with us like she normally does. I always love it when she's here with us. And she designed a crochet, well, she's hosting it as a crochet along. It's called the Love Shrug. And it is wonderful. I'm actually going to take, this is so cozy. I could literally wear it the rest of the episode, but I'm going to take it off so you can see me wear the Love Shrug and it won't blend in because I love orange. I love orange. Everything's orange here. It will blend in. So this is the Love Shrug by Unapologetically Mocha Crochet and Crafts. And you can currently get this pattern for free in her Facebook group. I have it linked down below. She's hosting a crochet along from, it started like a week ago and it runs through February. If you haven't started and you want to, you could literally crochet this up in a week, like hands down. Once you get the hang of the first couple of rows and you're ready to start your repeat, it's pretty mindless. And I think it's like a nice, adventurous, advanced beginner pattern just because you do have to pay attention to your stitches and know what you're looking at. But Catherine in the chat already finished hers and she did it in just a couple days, I'm pretty sure. So you could work this up super fast if you wanted to join along. So I am using Hobie Butterfly, which I love the way this yarn feels. I love the colors. I love the stitch definition. I love the drape for acrylic. This is 100% acrylic yarn, and it has the most drape, I think, out of any acrylic I've ever worked with. It behaves and even feels very much like a synthetic, well, acrylic is synthetic, but like a bamboo almost, like a bamboo viscose is what it behaves like. So I love everything about this yarn except this. Mocha, did you have this problem? The yarn is so slippery and it's put into this loose skein and it just falls apart. So I'm working from the outside. I know Mocha had said she worked from the inside of hers, but even then I could still see it being an issue when it collapses. It just falls away from itself. This is just from me putting it in my bag and pulling it out. It does not want to stay wrapped in its little thing. I don't have very many colors left. I'm not a fan of that color, but hopefully it will be okay when all's tied together. So this is, excuse me, this is my one downside to this yarn. But I think dealing with this is worth it because, wow, is this amazing. The drape is just, oh, it's so much. I love it. And it's soft. It does have like a different feel to it. It has a silky feel to it. So you know how there's like fuzzy soft and silky soft? This is like a silky soft where like it just has it's a different sensual feeling than like other soft acrylics, but I like it. So I didn't do a gauge swatch because it's an accessory. And did I put it on upside down? No. I didn't do a gauge swatch because it's an accessory and I don't care if it comes out exactly to gauge. I just care that I got a fabric that I was happy with. So she recommended for the pattern, I want to say a 5 millimeter or no, 5.5, I think. And Kim, you can correct me if I'm wrong. And I started and it just was too loose for me. So I went down to a 4.5 and I'm really happy with the fabric that I'm getting. Kim has mentioned that she is a like strangle my yarn tight type of crocheter. So I'm not super surprised that I had to go down to a 4.5. I am on the average to looser side when it comes to crochet gauge. So I'm pretty sure I got a gauge close to hers, even though I'm using a hook size an entire millimeter smaller than she did. But yeah, this has been really enjoyable to work on. I like the size that I'm getting. I don't know if this, Like I said, I don't know how this is measuring to what it's supposed to be, but it's really nice and cozy on the shoulders. The original design has 2 hearts. So it's 2 hearts tall. So it is going to be even wider and even cozier. And then she's got a border and fringe. So originally I didn't think I was going to do it, but I really do think it adds to the size of the shawl. So I think I am going to do it after all. You do need a second skein to do it. And I do have 2 skeins of butterfly. So I'm not worried about that at all. But yeah, that is the Love Shrug Cal by Unapologetically Mocha Crochet and Crafts, and I have been loving working on it. It's especially now that I'm in the second heart, I just look down at the heart below and basically follow that as I'm working. So let's see. Oh, that's pretty. Thank you, Mocha. Thank you so much. Thank you for a free, beautiful pattern. And Lacey's saying, it's so much fun. You already want to make multiple. And I agree with Lacey. This would be the perfect introduction to filet crochet for beginners because it is a type of filet crochet. Pretty. I really don't have the time with needing to make my first pair of socks before March. Oh, you're going to do Sock Madness. But yeah, it is a beautiful design. It's one of those things where don't you wish you had time to make all the things and you really have to just like turn an eye to the things that don't fit your goals, even though they're beautiful and you wish you had the time to make them. I'm having a blast. You guys are fun and you're making amazing shrugs. I think so too. So in her Facebook group, there are other people that are participating along and you can see their progress photos. I really love crochet alongs and I'm having fun with it too. And if you watch her lives, some people have emailed her in photos of theirs as well. So the lives kind of tie everyone together. If you don't have a Facebook, you can participate through an email chain. Yes, when it collapsed, it became a bit of a mess. Yeah, let me go ahead and just share it because I don't even, sometimes I plan things, sometimes I don't. This is one of the things I didn't plan, but I feel like it fits. So I have another one and I keep it in this drawer next to me. And sometimes my 1-year-old pulls that drawer and like gets yarn out. So this is what has happened to my other one already. It is struggling to stay together. So I think what I'm going to do is recake it up. It's not tangled, it's just falling apart because it's just so slippery. It reminds me of how when I used to work at a yarn shop, we didn't wind 100% silk yarn on the automatic ball winder because it's so slippery. The ball winder could not get the appropriate amount of tension that it needed to work correctly. And if there's no tension on the yarn when you're winding it, it just slips. And that will cause tangling. So we didn't wind those on the electric ball winder, and we just recommended people wind them by hand, which would be another option is to rewind that by hand. But I'm going to try to do it on my Stanwood very slowly and controlled. It's not automatic. The unforgettable yarn I'm using is doing the same freaking thing. Yeah, it's not fun. Lacey, I call that baby bird feather soft. Yeah, yes, baby bird feather soft, but with like a touch of, the best way to describe it for me is like if you've ever felt raw fleece that has a little bit of lanolin on it or processed wool that the lanolin didn't quite come out all the way, it's just got almost like a slight grease feeling, but there's no grease in it. That's what it feels like. So slightly greasy baby feather. Oh my goodness. Yep, DK on a 5.5. Yep. So yeah, I'm DK on a 4.5. I think I'm going to try it in fingering weight and see if it makes a good size cow. I think that's going to be awesome, Lacey. I want to see that. Yeah, I really got to finish up some birthday presents and crochet alongs. I always think I have more time than I actually do. That's my problem. I'm slowly figuring out how to understand how long something's really going to take and also to plan for downtime because that was my other problem. I wasn't planning time to not work and you have to have time to not work. Even if it's work you enjoy, you still have to have time not working for sanity reasons. Okay. My other design, I gotta hurry up because we're running out of time, and my baby's with a babysitter, so let's go. My Ice Cream Delight cardigan. This was a little bit of a bummer yesterday. I seamed it, and I finished seaming it, and I did the tutorial for it, and I'm not super in love with the fit, and I'll explain why. So I am designing this other cardigan. Oh, let me take this down. I'm designing another cardigan called the Ice Cream Delight using Tweed Delight. And this is going to be the adult version of the Ice Cream Party Cardi that I made for my daughters that's already out and available. What I did going into the adult version is I made the underarm cutout wider. Despite my best judgment, I still don't know if that was a good decision. I also cut back the ease. So there was 4 inches of ease in the kids version, and I wanted something a little tighter. It looked so baggy on my kids. I wanted something a little tighter for adults, so I cut it to 2 inches of positive ease, which is a very tight-fitting sweater. And then, yeah, that was basically it. And I changed the yarn, so the gauge changed, which was fine because I was rewriting it from scratch. But the problem that I came across when I seamed it all together and put it on is that my swatch, right? So here it is. I fixed the front panels that I was telling you guys about last week. So I now have the 1.5 inches for the front button band that I wanted. I fixed the V-neck shaping. So there is actually a V-neck. Depending on the size you make, that V-neck is always going to start at the same point in your bust. But because of the width of your body, your V-neck might come out wider, right? Because you're wider. So let me put it on and I'll show you guys. My swatch came out at 13 inches or 13 stitches per 4 inches. This sweater, after I blocked it and then I seamed it and I put it on and I go, oh, this is kind of tight. Like this is tighter than I wanted. And where's the front of my cardigan? This is the thing. This is what I'm telling you. I can't stand cardigans with no front. So this cardigan is supposed to, if it was big enough, but I mean, it is big enough, but I have to pull it, right? Because it wants to be open on its own. Once I have my 1.5 inch button band and I button it shut, it is a very fitted cardigan. That was not my intention, and I think getting over that is going to be the thing here. Now, I could have always made the next size up. So this was to fit a 32-inch bust, which I have a 32.5-inch bust. So my bust is already a little bigger than the to fit size. I put 2 inches of ease in, which meant I designed this sweater to have a finished bust of 34 inches. So I should have had 1.5 inches of positive ease, which is still fitted. Don't get me wrong. That's still a very fitted cardigan. But because my actual pieces came out at 14 stitches per 4 inches instead of the 13, that makes my pieces 2 inches too short in the bust. Being off by 1 stitch per 4 inches, not even a stitch per inches. 1 stitch per 4 inches at a worsted weight with a worsted weight yarn, because that stitch takes up so much more space. That means I have 1 extra stitch that fits inside that 4 inches, threw my bust off by 2 inches, which means my sweater now has a negative 1/2 inch of ease. It is a little bit smaller than my actual bust, which is why it fits like this. So nothing's wrong with the pattern. I can keep it as is and just describe it as a fitted sweater. The problem is that I don't know how much I'm going to love this for me because it's a very tight fitted sweater and I typically don't wear tight fitted sweaters. We'll see how much I actually wear this one. Doing it again, I would make the next size up. So that would add more ease, right? So if I made the to fit a 32-inch size and this happened, my stitch gauge was a little tighter than it was supposed to be. And had I made the next size up, that is 4 inches bigger than the size I made. So I would have had 4 inches of ease. It would be a much cozier, comfier fit. If I went up even another size, now you're looking at 8 inches of ease and a very baggy, cozy sweater. So if you're ever looking at a sweater design and it's very fitted, if they have the size available that is 1 to 2 sizes bigger than what you want, you can just make that size and basically put your own ease in it. So I did want to mention that. But yeah, I was a little disappointed last night when I put it on and I was like, there's no front. What the heck? But yeah, once the ribbing's on it and it's buttoned shut, it's not super stressed to get there. I don't know why that's there. It's not super stressed to get to that point. The underarm is fine. The crossback's a little tight because, like I said, it's got a half of a negative. Let's see if I can turn around completely. I got to remember my microphone's here, so I can't talk. So I'll just show you real quick. It's and I'm blurry. Work with me, camera. No? Jeez. Well, it's stretched ever so slightly because of that negative a half inch. So that's unfortunate. But I will say, I do really like the way the shoulder shaping turned out. Come on, camera. Oh, there we go. Thank you. The shoulder shaping, it fits like a glove, fits like a dream. And we're going to have 1.5 inches of ribbing. So it's going to come right up perfectly to my neck. It won't be falling off, even though it's a wide V-neck. And like, honestly, once there's 1.5 inches ribbing on both sides, it won't look as bad even being worn open. It will actually have more of a front than some of the cardigans that I see out there available. You guys, I love my swing cardigans. I love the soccer mom, stage mom cardigans. So yeah, that is what's going on here. You can see the sleeves are too short because they're missing 2 inches of ribbing. So they will fit perfectly. I'm also missing 2 inches of ribbing on the body. So that's why it's so cropped. We're going to have another 2 inches of ribbing down there. So that is my progress on the Ice Cream Delight cardigan. It helps when you have no children and the weather is freezing. Plus, the pattern is fun and exciting to see the hearts appear. I'm getting a lot done this winter. Yay! I'm so happy. I know you've been cranking out the blankets. I mean, it does. It helps when there's no children and you're cold and the pattern is great. I mean, it was the perfect combination. I know I could have finished it faster too, but I wanted to stretch it out over the duration of the crochet along. And I've got other designs I'm working on too. So I was like, oh, I'll make some good progress and set it to the side. But yeah, Catherine was like, woo, done. Ty did it too. The heart below is the perfect guide. It really is. I'm so glad I caught this live because I want to buy and make the adult size as soon as you release it. I love making the party cardi so much. Well, I'm so glad. Yeah, I think that you'll like it as long as you like fitted cardigans or you make the next size up. I'm actually considering adding an additional size, expanding to an additional size for that reason, because it goes up to fit a 56-inch bust, which is a finished 58-inch bust. And if that's your size and you don't want a fitted cardigan, you can't just make the next size up because I don't have one in there. So I'm thinking about adding an additional size, which would do a finished 60-inch bust. So yeah, something I'm very much considering. Ooh, I'm back. Oh, that cardigan is nice. Yeah, this is because of you. You were like, yeah, I want an adult version. And I was like, you know what? Why not? I already have the math and everything going, and I'd like to try on the shoulder shaping. I've never made myself a flat cardigan with shoulder shaping, and it's nice. Never going back. I think it looks really good on you, even though you like roomier. That Ice Cream Delight will be a wonderful business dressy cardigan. Yeah, it is. Well, and I feel it's a little casual too. I think it's got both places to go. The style will be perfect for me to wear into my office at work. Yes. Oh, Lacey, it's going to be so gorgeous. I can't wait to see yours. She sent me a picture. She's using Malabrigo in this gorgeous, like, red, deep orange colorway. It's beautiful. she's testing out the back panel for me now, and then the sleeves. I will do an official tester's call when it's full ready. She's getting the very broken, untech edited version. I don't do that to my normal testers, but she's so excited I went ahead and sent it to her anyways. I also sent the Puffy Pinafore off to somebody who was in love with it, and I said, well, you can test it for me because it has been tech edited. But, and I haven't mentioned this, but let's go ahead and talk about it. This is the Puffy Pinafore, if you don't know what I'm talking about. I designed this for my 1-year-old. It's a very cute Puffy Pinafore made using a worsted weight yarn. But because it's so puffy, you actually have some weight to the pinafore. And you can kind of see it pulling, the weight of the skirt pulling on my hands. After I made this, I took some of the ease out of the waist so that the waist can really hold that weight a little bit better. But the gal who tested it for me for the 4-year-old size still had an issue with the weight of the yarn really pulling it on their child. So I haven't decided what to do with this yet, which is why I haven't done an official call for testers. I might only release this pattern for 2 sizes because I don't think it's going to work well for the larger sizes, because the larger we get, the heavier this is going to be. The only other option would be to make it out of like fingering weight yarn. So, and I'm not really interested in doing that. So I haven't fully decided what I want to do with this yet. It might just be a for size 2 and size 4 only kind of a pattern because it really just doesn't work for the other sizes. I forgot about that. Wow, that would make the cardigan completely size inclusive. Awesome. That's the goals. That's what I'm trying to do. Customer service rep cardigan. Yes, this is giving customer service rep vibes. Total customer service rep vibes. The colorway is Vulcan, I believe. Yeah, it's Malabrigo and the Vulcan colorway. So gorgeous. Oh, Lacey, yeah, I think I'm agreeing with you there. It's supervisor cardigan. Congratulations again on your promotion. My words today. Maybe a chain spun yarn will help too. You could make a note if you wanted to. Absolutely. Maybe that's what I should do, is actually get people to test it and tell me if it's absolutely horrible weight. I don't know until someone does it. But I also feel bad making my testers be like full on guinea pigs, making something that might not be good, you know? How about a ribbon cinch? That's a good option too. Maybe I'll add that into the notes. Maybe I can. Thank you, Mocha, coming in with all the best ideas. I hate it. Yeah, I don't like being a supervisor either. Are you building up muscle with your workout and actually getting bigger in places? Maybe it's not your designer crochet. So I haven't measured myself, and I might be. That's a good point. My workout will end in 3 days, and then we measure from the beginning of the workout. So I'll find out then. My bad. Customer service supervisor cardigan. Love being a sexitary. Is that a typo? A sexy secretary. I feel like it's a typo though. I wore the loveliest and funkiest things. Dude, I knew I was going to love a secretary if they dressed like that. Like if I came to you at your workplace and saw you, I would already know that I love you before you even opened your mouth. Yeah, Lacey, that was my reaction too. All right, I got to keep moving through because I can't keep the baby with the sitter too extra long. So those are all of my works in progress. I was going to show real quick, though, a sneak peek. I started another project of a secret design. It's not going well. So secret design, here's the yarn, not going well. So it is going well. So this is a pattern that will be published in about 2 weeks, and I'd like to have the sample ready when the pattern is available. It uses Barocco Remix Light, which I shared off the mini haul when it showed up. It's 100% recycled fibers. It's a DK weight, light 3, 100 grams, 432 yards. It's nylon, cotton, acrylic, silk, and linen. I love this yarn. It makes a wonderful fabric, and it frogs very well. Sorry, my throat. But I started making the wrong size. Of my own pattern. when I write patterns for independent publishing, I call them by the size they're intended to fit. So to fit a 32-inch bust, it has a finished measurement bust of 34 inches. The publisher doesn't. They call them like extra small, small, medium. And I'm typically used to making the extra small, which was a finished measurement of 32 inches, not to fit. Finished measurement of 32 inches. I made that size, I'm kind of giving away what it is, but it doesn't matter. You still can't tell. It's still secret enough. Yeah, so I made that size, put it on. It did not fit because it was exactly my size, actually a negative half an inch ease again. So I ripped it out and I'm making the next size up, which is for a finished measurement of 36-inch bust. So I will have nice 4 inches of ease in this. So yeah, I'm in the process of ripping it out and remaking it. So yeah, secret sneak peek. Moving on to check it out. I have a mini hook review. Oh, you guys, I forgot to talk about the Highland wool. I got distracted. So real quick, Highland, the Hobie Highland wool, 100% Peruvian wool. I swatched it up to see what it worked up like. And it is softer than the wool of the Andes. I was going to mention that. They're both Peruvian Highland wool, but I do think it's a little bit softer. Actually, they're pretty close to the same, honestly. But it's thinner. So I think it's mislabeled on their website because when I went and I looked, it said it was a DK light worsted weight. But look at how much you can see through it. Exact same stitch count, exact same hook, not the same size, and very see-through. This definitely worked up more like fingering weight. I looked up on Ravelry. Ravelry has it listed as a sport weight. I would treat it like a fingering weight. But yeah, that was what I wanted to mention about that. But I am going to be doing a whole separate video, more of a deep dive into Peruvian Highland wool. What it is, where you can get it, what does it feel like, what can you make with it, what's it good for. So I just wanted to share that. And geez, I've got like something just tickling my throat. Pretty yarn. It is pretty yarn. And if you like a more toothier yarn, I think it's a good one to go for. But that one is, I think it's either the same price or more expensive than the wool of the Andes. I would be pretty able to pull the residents in and they went in for the kill. Oh no, you had such a negative week. Get it? Negative half an inch. I really have had a negative week, negative half inch in more than one ways. And then I had to fix everything, right? I had to rip out those sleeves and redo them. I had to rip out the front panels and redo them. The Highland wool looks heathered, or is it just the camera? Nope, you are correct. Where is I lost the, oh, it's on the floor. Or no, am I sitting on it? I'm sitting on it. They're both heathered, and I think this has to do with when the wool is dyed. It either has to do with the wool itself and how many fleeces are being blended together, or it has to do with the fact that the wool is potentially dyed before and then blended, and it'll give you this really cool heathered effect. But they have it in both. Like, I would think that these were the exact same yarns if they weren't a different weight. Because originally I was like, wow, like they look like they could be identical. Like the shape of the skein, the heathered appearance, the ply, the feel, and they're both 50 grams, but the Hobie yarn is approximately 191 yards, where the Knit Picks We Crochet is 137 yards. So you're looking at quite a bit of a difference, which is why I'm saying it's more of a fingering weight yarn. Never been a fan of ready-to-wear sizes versus handmade sizes. Yeah, I didn't really care, but then I started learning about how it's not helpful. There's no standard for what is an extra small, what is a small. Like, why don't you just say it what it is? And so that's why I've started saying that my sizes are to fit this inch. Kind of like how you get jeans that are like, 22, 28, 32 by like the actual measurements. That's the best way to get a good fit. We don't need this extra small, medium, agreed upon. There's no standard. Okay, yeah, I think Hobie always seems to label weight weird. I don't know, the winter glow doesn't act like worsted at all. I would call it a light decay. Agree. I bought that back when I was swatching for this yarn, and it definitely behaved a lot more like a light decay because I swatched it with the same hook and everything. Absolutely agree with you there. Being called again. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye, Estella. Thanks so much for joining the live. The quick hook review. I've got a couple of them. And this isn't going to be in depth or anything. This is literally just, this is the hook and this is what I experienced. I can't find the Chiagoo, so we'll talk about that one. So I got a couple 4mm and a 5mm hook, and I temporarily lost my 5mm and 4mm. So I pulled these ones out to test them out. The Chiagoo, it comes with like a handle that's wooden and flat, and it has Chiagoo stamped into the handle of it. I couldn't stand the handle. It wasn't longer than my hand, which I like handles that are longer than my hand. And it was too flat and too wide. It didn't feel comfortable in my hand. The actual hook itself, these are all tapered hooks, by the way, because that is my preference. So I like the tapered hook. I liked the shape of the head. I had no issues working with the tip of the hook. It was the handle that I did not like whatsoever. So if you have a smaller hand or you like wider, flatter handles, that might be a hook for you. The Chiagoo, I got it using points from the Hobie store. So that's where it came from. But yeah, it's going to end up not being for me because I don't enjoy the handle of the hook. It's too short, too wide, and too flat. But the metal that it was made out of was super easy, smooth, and the head shape was great. Just the handle was a no-go for me. Let's move on to the Knit Pro Waves. So I also got this from Hobie, and this one I got the 4mm hook. I'll go ahead and take it out. So the handle's fine. Show you. Sorry I didn't have the Chiagoo to show you because I let my daughter play with it since I knew I wasn't in love with it, and then I lost it, or she lost it. I let her lose it. So it's got a flat handle too. It's kind of like a hard plastic, but it's smooth. I like the way that feels. And then the metal was fine. It's nice and smooth. But the tip is where I had a problem with this hook. So it's small too, but I could handle that. I really like it when the hook comes past my hand just a little bit longer. The hook, the handle itself wasn't too wide. The Chiagoo hook handle is wider than this. That was no thank you. This I can do. This wasn't uncomfortable. That actually folds really nicely into the knuckles of your hand. This sucker, I cannot stand. I did not like this hook tip at all. So it looks fine. Right? Well, it's blurry, but that's fine. It looks fine, right? It looks like your typical tapered hook head. But it's kind of too small, I think, is the problem. Let me show you next to the Clover. I don't know. I should probably do a standalone video for this too, where I can put in photos. So I don't know if you can see the throat of the hook is shallower, or is shallower on the Clover. It's a little bit deeper on the Knit Pro Waves. And the head is just a tiny bit narrower this in height. And I believe it's for those reasons. Sorry, that didn't work at all. I believe it's for those reasons that this hook split my yarn. Like every yarn over, every pull through, every pull up, I was ready to huck it across the room. It would not stop splitting my yarn. So the handle was fine. The metal was fine. the tip and I did not get along. I just kept splitting my yarn. Maybe this hook would work for you if you like inline style hooks. That's why I don't like inline style hooks. I split my yarn all the time with them. So maybe this would be a good crossover for somebody that likes inline hooks that maybe wants to try out a tapered hook and doesn't like traditional tapered hooks. So, you know, I understand that all hooks are made for reasons that might not be my preferences. So yeah, Knit Pro Waves was not for me. The Clover, I had never worked with before either. So this is the Clover Soft Touch. I also got it from Hobbii. When I made my Hobbii order for the sweater, I got all these hooks in. So this, boy, oh boy, do I love whatever they did to the metal. It is one of the smoothest hooks I've ever used. It glides beautifully. I liked the tip. I had no problems with that. I'm just not in love with these flat handles. So I could definitely use this hook for a lot of projects. I like the length before the handle starts. I like the material, how smooth it is. I like the hook. I had no problems working with this. It's just that the handle, I wish it was round. I like round handles or thicker, a little bit thicker handles. It's about the same length, so a little bit longer would be nice too. So I'm not in love with the handle, but the hook would be worth it because this is literally one of the smoothest hooks I've ever used, which speeds you up, which I loved. So that is the Clover Soft Touch. And then my least favorite hook that I tried. This is one of the worst hooks I've ever used in my entire life. It is not for me. This is the Hobbii Easy Touch crochet hook. And I got a 4mm. I like the handle. I'll say that. So the handle's thicker. It's round where your hand goes, which is my preference. There is a flat grip for your thumb, which I enjoy. This is very comfortable. I like this a lot. The metal is the problem. Even the head is fine. The head was fine, but the metal is such a problem that I can't use it. It made every yarn I worked with squeak. Cotton, acrylic, wool. It didn't matter. I guess I didn't try silk. It's almost like it's a hook without a finishing on it. And I don't even know why I'm trying to show you guys, but you can see, do you see the rough texture of the hook? It's like all these holes in it. If this hook had a coating on it, I would love it. This would be it. This would be great. It's very much like a boy ergonomic, which is my second favorite hook. But it's just, yeah. And of course, I get myself out of focus showing this to you guys. I'm sorry. Be patient with my camera. Yeah, if there was some kind of coating on this, it would be great. I like the handle. I like the head. But it's just that texture creates a squeak on everything. And I can't do it at all. Just like I couldn't do the Knit Pro's splitting everything. And I had never realized that like I had such hard preferences about hooks until I started trying more hooks. I started crocheting with a boy hook and tried the Susan Bates inline, hated them, stuck with boy until I started working at my local yarn shop, and they carry the Addie color codeds, which are another tapered hook. And then I started using these. These are my preferred hooks. They have a nice round handle. They're longer than my hand, and they've got a nice long hook coming out from the handle. I roll, actually, with these hooks. I roll instead of twisting my arm, which is a different motion, and I think it's better overall to be able to have those different ranges of motions when you do something repetitively. I like the head, and it's smooth. It's not quite as smooth as the Clover Soft Touch, but it is really smooth, and I do really like that about these hooks. The only reason that I like these more than the boys is because I like the handle better. But the boy ergonomic, I think, is a cheaper hook than these, but those are my two favorites. Still going to keep trying and exploring more hooks. I know I've been recommended to try the Highas. They look just like the boys. So I do want to try those, but I wish they had a handle. If you have any hooks that you think that I might like that are tapered, go ahead and shout them out too, because I will give them a try. The average size in Europe is 42, which is an XL, and I already felt big just because of that X in the size. Yeah, I mean, that's not nice. Yeah. It's not a nice way to name clothing. I typically wear large, but have purchased 2X that was tight. How cruel of the manufacturer. Yeah, well, or the other happens, right? So my mother, my partner's mom, she bought me some pajamas for Christmas, and she's like, what size do you wear? I'm like, small is kind of tight fitting on me. I prefer mediums. So she got me a medium sleep shirt, and it drowns me. The neck comes down and you can see everything. I'm just like, that's a medium? That doesn't even make sense. One size fits all is the biggest lie ever, right? Even stocking companies know, like legging stockings for like under dresses. I know they're kind of outdated and I don't think people really use them anymore, but even they know their sizes. Even though that material is stretchy, even they know one size can never fit all. Much more informative to go by inches or centimeters. That's what I'm trying to stick to with my designs. It looks shorter on the head. Yeah, you're talking about that hook. Yeah, it is. I just could not. I'm glad that you guys were able to see it clearly. That's good. I think the waves are called Circus in Europe, the first ever set of hooks I bought. They look very similar, at least. I use them for all my projects. I might try out Clover. Interesting. So you're used to the waves. One thing I found is that your preferences come from what you started with, right? I started with boy, and that is what I equate everything to, and that's what's comfortable for me. So that's interesting that you started with a hook that for me I would identify as in between a tapered and inline. It's in the tapered category, but that head, it's very much like the inline heads with the deep throat, and I just am not a fan of that. I also love the brushed whatever it is for the Clover hook. The handle made me mad because it's called soft touch, but that's a lie. The handle's hard. Yes. So it is called, this is it. It's called soft touch. There is like kind of a rubber. It's not even rubber. It's kind of a softer spot for your thumb, which is maybe how they named it that. But this is hard plastic. Even this is hard plastic. The Knit Pro waves. The Hobie soft touch, or not soft touch, easy touch. This is rubber. Like the Boy Ergonomic is rubber. I prefer the rubberized feeling. I don't know what material. It's like rubber. Squeaky yarn is a nightmare. Yeah, it wasn't even the yarn's fault because it made my indie dyed superwash merino squeak. That's a problem for me. Oh wow, I wonder if the hook was a defect or if that's how they come. I think that's how they come. I don't know. I paid for that one. The only one I didn't spend money on was the Chiagoo, which I used points for, rewards points, which technically I spent money. You know how marketing works. The hook close-ups are really working well, by the way. Oh, good. Well, I'm glad that worked out. My hook soulmate is the Furls Odyssey. I know you tried the Streamlines, but they're nowhere near the quality of Odyssey. I will eventually get my hands on an Odyssey. I'm scared about the weight, and they're expensive, so that's why I've been putting it off. Hi, Amanda. The Tulip Etimo. Little short handle, but ranked like Clover. Good to know, Steve. Thank you. Oh, am I making everything shape again? So on my list of to buy, Furls Odyssey, Tulip, I hope I'm saying that right, Etimo, and then the Haya. Just ordered a hook from the Leto Workshop. So excited to try it. What's the Leto Workshop and what kind of hook is it? With small hands and a pencil holder, I am tempted to try the Waves hook, but upsize if it calls for a 5, uses a 5.5. Not falling in love with any type of hook yet, except my cheap DMC Run hooks. I've never tried those. DMC Run. Yeah, I should have prefaced all of that with the fact that I am a knife holder. You guys saw that, though. Like, it is going to change. If you're a pencil holder, you probably want a shorter hook. It doesn't matter, right? I eventually to learn that method. It's so freaking fast, and it's good for you to switch up the movements in your hands. I just been putting it out. Mocha, that would be great. Honestly, I will even pay for shipping if you want, because that will still be cheaper than actually buying one. And I know you dislike them, so it works out well. You love your tulips. I know that. I should have just bought one knowing that, because I trust you. You and I like those Addies too. Like, I know you prefer the swings, but there's reasons why we both like it. I like even highly prefer the weighted hook. It's like a self-propelled hook. That's why some people have told me it does actually hurt their hands. So that's why I'm afraid of it. But yeah, I might feel self-propelled too. I won't know until I try it. Jada Crochet has a review on the Tulip Etimo here on YouTube. Good to know. I will check that out. Thank you, Maud. It's in Ukraine. There are reviews on YouTube. Fiber Spider has a good one. Good to know. Okay, you guys are coming in with all the hot tips today. I gotta write these down so I don't forget, because it's too many hot tips. Fiber Spider and Jada on the tulip. All right. Have I tried Prim yet? I haven't. Prim. Do they have? I feel like Prim has yarn too. Yes, there are several colors of. Oh, I love colors. In general, made for different markets, areas like Japan, America, European. Oh, that makes sense. I think Addie does that too with their knitting needles. I could see your grip as you reviewed them. Exactly. Yeah, I realized that afterwards, because I was like, I didn't tell you, but you could see it. I wasn't penciling it. All right, what else do I have in my notes? Yep, that was my check it out, if I didn't say that from the beginning, was the mini crochet hook review. So moving on to Let's Chat. We don't have too much time to chat because I'm going over, and I do have to get my daughter. But how has your week been? How are you guys doing? What have you been working on? If you haven't told me already, go ahead and let me know in the chat. I will let you know how my week has been outside of the crafties. So house update. The house appraised at our asking price. So we're just waiting for closing. It's pretty much ours. I'm so freaking excited. I just bought a bunch of books yesterday about how to raise sheep for fiber. I finally bought myself a copy of the Fleece and Fiber Source book, and the Spinner's Field Guide to Fleece, I think it's called. And while I was buying books, I went ahead and bought Yarn Texture. I have another spinning book that I really enjoy, but I had been wanting to add Yarn Texture to my collection. And I bought another book about like basically small farms, small livestock farming. So guys, I'm so excited. I can't believe it. It's still going to be like, we have so many renovations to do, and we're not even moving until the summer, but it's like a dream come true. I'm so excited. So that's the update on I can't believe it. Especially like back when I mentioned it to you guys, and then somebody else put in an offer above asking price and we couldn't compete. And I was like, well, it's gone now. And then they backed out. Like, I could have never seen that coming. And then update on the workout. I know you had mentioned it. I think it was you, Maud. So I'm doing the 21-day program, MBF, Muscle Burns Fat, by Beachbody. I use Beachbody On Demand. I really do enjoy their workouts. This has been one of my most favorite workout programs ever. My favorite before that being Insanity Max 30. I really like 30-minute workout programs because who has the time? I'd rather go hard for 30 minutes than spend a whole hour. You work out every day, with one of the days being a dynamic recovery day. It's basically stretching and yoga. And I only have 3 days left in the program, and wow, it's been great. I've really enjoyed the workouts. I've felt like I've been able to keep up. I have really made great progress. The very first, you track all of your weights and all of your reps. So the first week with their form, like you print it out from their website and you just write it each week. All of the workouts, I started with 5-pound weights. This week I used 10-pound weights. And like, if that just doesn't show you how much you've already gained in strength, let alone like the cardio that's done in between workouts is feeling breezier. And there are things called as many reps as possible, AMRAPs. So that's on cardio days where you're doing cardio workouts and you see how many times you can get through the cycle in a period of time. And I added reps every week. It's been great. I'm very happy with my results, and I'm excited to move into the next program, which is MBF Muscle Burns Fat Advanced. So that's another 3-week program. And then by the end of that, I should be feeling pretty fit, and I'll probably do another round of Insanity Max 30, just because that one's very cardio heavy and it's really good for your heart. And I was in really good shape back when I was doing that one. So I just wasn't ready to start with that one because it is intense. It's max 30. You're maxing everything every time you work out. It's a very intense program you shouldn't start with. But I felt like MBF was a great start out, and they had modifications for everything. They had people of all sizes, of all strengths. There were people using 20-pound weights. There were people using no weights. So that was really great to see in the program as well. And every workout was recorded. Like, you didn't have to watch the same workouts the second week. They recorded each workout every day for 21 days. And I really enjoyed that. So it wasn't repetitive at all. The workouts changed slightly too. They became slightly more advanced each time. So highly recommend that program. I think I might actually buy that one outright if I ever want to quit having the on-demand subscription, because that's one I could see myself going back to again. And then the other thing I was going to mention is I'm going to start I've mostly just been live streaming here on YouTube, as you guys have noticed. I want to start doing some more standalone videos, and I want to focus on topics that aren't well explored in the crafty community, yarn and crochet, and maybe knitting specific. So I am going to be doing that, kind of a deeper dive into Peruvian Highland wool, because I haven't seen anyone really talk about it, and it seems like something people would be interested in knowing. If you guys have any questions or topics that you wish there was more information about, like a condensed quick version video, I'm hoping to keep these 10 minutes and less. Let me know, because I'm also looking for recommendations. I'm going to pick the things that I'm the most interested in talking about and that I have the most experience and knowledge on. I feel very comfortable talking about wool. I've done a lot of work with wool and research into wool, hands-on experience with spinning wool, processing wool from fleeces, several varieties. So yeah, keeping that in mind. But yeah, let me catch up with you guys. Lacey, I think I have a special place in my heart for my Odyssey hooks because they saved my ability to crochet. I mean, that I could see that emotional attachment. Your sensory aversions were so bad you thought you would have to quit. I am glad that there was a hook that can keep you crocheting, because I know how much you love yarn and crocheting. And that's the other thing. Like, even if I get that Odyssey hook and hate it, like, there are people like Lacey who love it. So you have to take every review of anything with a grain of salt, taking into account the person who's reviewing its preferences as well as your preferences, because there are going to be people who are polar opposites. Interesting. So prim is recommended for pencil, but some people swear by them. I do like long handles. I'm going to add that to my list of hooks to buy. I've just kind of been waiting until I need to make another order and seeing where these are available. So it might not be anytime soon, but it's good to have the list ready. You think I'll like the prims because they have fatter handles? I do like a little bit fatter of a handle, like the Hobie Easy Touch. I do like that handle. The Boy Ergonomics, I do like those handles. But I also do like my Addy color coded handle, which is a little bit smaller and round, but I do need a handle. The Hiya crochet hooks are like the boy hooks, where it's just the hook. There's no handle. And I like to use smaller hooks. So the smaller the hook, the less to hold on to. And my knuckles start to get sore from having to be closed so tightly for so long. I'm not death gripping my hook. They're just being closed. My favorite hook is a no-name metal hook that is shaped like a Susan Bates with the Susan Bates grip handle. Oh, no-name metal. So it doesn't specify what type of metal it is, or there is no brand name to it. Are you talking about just the ones off of Amazon? Somebody told me that they had like a no-name hook off Amazon. I've been planning to expand my garden. Oh, Lindsay, I can't wait to see it. Gardening in the South in the United States it's a challenge, because I tried and I failed horribly, but I also didn't prepare myself with the right knowledge. I have been eyeballing the Prims. I want to try one of those really bad, but it's so hard to find hooks that I can actually use. Yeah, that's if I need to get my hands on an Odyssey furls then, because then I would be able to make better recommendations from there. Like, oh, Lacey, you'd like this, or no, you would not. Got to get a Prim and try them. I mean, I think that's what it's coming down to. I want to give it a try. Woohoo, congrats. Thank you so much. We are so excited. And thank you, Catherine. Yes, I can't believe I'm going to have a little farm. It's a little farm with a creek in the back. I haven't decided how much of the journey I'm going to share and what kind of commitment that would be to film it and edit it and all of it. But it might be kind of fun to have for personal records too, just because it hasn't been lived in for a couple years and it's so run down. It would make a great before and after kind of capture. So I think once we close and it's ours, I'm going to go in and get some pretty detailed video of the current state. And then once we're all done, go in and it's kind of fun to be fixing it up into my dream home too. The grip handle is from a set of 2 for about $3. Oh, it's just a grip handle that you add on. I understand sensory issues. Yeah, I totally get it too. That's why I don't like the easy touch. Oh, wow, that's impressive. I don't know what that was referring to, Mocha. I got too far behind in the chat. I miss working out and doing CrossFit. Oh, is that what you're talking about, the workouts? It hurts too much. Oh, I'm sorry, Lori. Yeah, you guys were going ham for a while. You were doing the Tough Mudder events and things. I'm still not in shape enough for one of those yet. I think maybe I could do a Tough Mudder and I would be really sore and tired afterwards, but I would obviously do way better than before. Before I probably couldn't have done one at all. I'm still not back up into my fitness level where I am doing push-ups through the whole sets of push-up workouts. I can only do a handful of push-ups before I have to drop to the knee modification. But I was barely able to do a 30-second plank when I started, and I'm now doing 30-second plank knee crosses and plank jacks. Like you cross your knees and then you do a jumping jack in the plank position. I can do that for 30 seconds now. When I started, I couldn't even hold the plank for 30 seconds. So that has to do, like I just had a baby a year ago. So, your abs expand. You have to give them time to settle, recover before you try to rebuild the strength. So my abs were very weak. But that's why this is so good. I'm going to get really good shape for future babies. How about choosing the right wool for the project? Oh, I like this. I'd have to go a little more specific because my pin blended into my hooks. I'd have to, because I want to keep the videos like literally under 10 minutes. So it would have to be like specific under that topic, like choosing the right wool for like color work, or choosing the right wool for garments or mittens or hats. Like it would have to be the specific type of project. But I think that's a good rabbit hole to go down. And I think that is something that there's some videos available, but it doesn't hurt to put my spin out there, because I've noticed that the people that put out reviews, which I'm glad that there are several people putting out reviews with several backgrounds, several experiences, several preferences. I don't see a lot of people who crochet and knit and spin reviewing yarns, like doing all of them. And I think doing all of them gives you a different, unique perspective and a little bit wider of breadth of information on the topic. But thank you for that suggestion. I like it. I'd love to know more about sustainability in the hobby, more sustainable fibers, maybe even some scrap projects. That's a good topic that I'd like to get down to. I've only ever researched into that topic a little bit. One thing that I found out that was super interesting is how much water is used in the processing. Even natural fibers like wool, you have to wash them, get the lanolin out, then you're dyeing them. So there's a lot of water use that comes along with the creation of yarn. That's really interesting. And I remember reading about a company that wanted to try to find a way to really reuse a lot of the water without wasting it. Yeah, there's a lot that goes into the sustainability of fibers. So I would think that's a good topic to jump down. Thank you, Maud. Definitely everyone loves their own things. Also, different things are more important to different people. Exactly. Watch reviews and then try them for yourself. Watch a lot of reviews. Yeah, I mean, that's really the way to go about it. And that's why I'm glad there are so many people reviewing things, because everyone's going to have their own thing to say about it. So true about the Odyssey hooks. I love how it crochets, but it's too heavy and causes hand wrist fatigue for me. Meanwhile, they are perfect for Lacey. It's all in the user. Exactly that. And that's why even when I say, like, you know, the Knit Pro Waves is not for me, I do think there are people out there that it's for. So yeah, I am at least open to that. And like, don't nobody buy it. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's definitely not for me. Also, more information on hand washing different fibers. How often should you wash things? What are the best ways to wash certain fibers? Do you reblock after washing or just dry flat? I like that, Mod, because that really is something that nobody talks about. Long-term care. There's no follow-up to after I made this and I blocked it. What does it look like to care for this piece over the years? I like that. Thank you for that suggestion. No brand name on my favorite hook. It's a hand-me-down from my mom, so probably from Kmart in the 80s or something. That's so cool that it's like an heirloom hook with no brand, and it's just that is it for you. The only thing that's unfortunate is if you ever lose those, where would you find replacements? Girl, big huge farm. I know, I'm so excited. So the entire plot is on just shy of 7 acres, but the house and the barn and the workshop take up quite a bit of it. I think there's like, my guess would be 4 to 5 acres of pasture. So, it's so exciting. The barn, we were there for the inspection a couple weeks ago, and I really took, the very first time we toured the house, it was pouring down rain, and it just, the barn roof, they used recycled tin roofing that has holes in it, so it leaks. And so, like, it just, and it was dark, there was no lights, it was hard to see. This last time we walked through for the inspection, I could actually like go places and see everything. And there were at least like 6 horse stalls. So like, I mean, it's a decent size farm. Like, it's a small farm, don't get me wrong, but it's a decent size small farm. I feel like it's perfect for what I think I need. And who knows, if I grow and I love and I want to grow more, we can always go up. I love renovation videos. I vote yes. Yeah, it's literally comes down to remembering to document and save it. And it's a process I'm working on. I'm actually going to be designing a new pattern and trying to film the entire process while I do it. I've done that once before. I'm going to try to do it again. Audio pattern books for people with dyslexia. Oh, you want to, that's one of the topics. Oh, I like that. So my stepdad has dyslexia. So that one is close to home for me. Audio pattern for dyslexia. And that is a very specific thing to answer, and there is nothing out there on it. So I love that. Thank you for that recommendation. Wannabe crocheter or knitter or both. Yeah, because dyslexia is no fun. And I can't imagine someone with dyslexia trying to read a crochet pattern or knitting pattern. Jeez. Planks are hard. They are hard. Yeah, they're definitely core dominant, which your core is like one of the most important muscles, like besides your heart. I wonder if C-sections make them harder for me now because the muscle was cut through. They said it wouldn't really grow back together again. Yeah, Lacey, absolutely. And that is one thing that I like about the modifications on the program as well is if you're a mother of several kids, you know jumping can be an issue depending on the strength of your muscles. So for me, it takes me a little while to build back up those muscles before I can jump comfortably. So there are modifications for ways to do cardio and keep your cardio up without jumping. And so that's, but definitely doing abdominal exercises. And I'm no professional, so take this with a grain of salt. I have no place to be able to send any recommendations, but it makes sense in my mind that if your doctor advises and says it's okay for you to do abdominal workouts, strengthening that area, even if it won't get back to what it used to be, is still going to help in everyday health. Because we use our abs just like moving laundry. You know what I mean? It would be helpful for ADHD and ADD people, I think. Yeah, I think so too. And you agree. I'd also love a video on how different garments and yarns have held up for you over the years with washing, pilling, etc. That is another great topic. I only have 3 sweaters, I think, that are old. So, and that I actually wear. Like some things end up and I just don't wear them as often as others because I've made so many shawls, it's impossible to wear them all regularly. So they get cycled out enough that they have very little wear to them. But yeah, things that you actually wear over time. I think that's a great topic. Yes, great idea. So the tin roof is wristed. Wristed? What's wristed mean? Oh, rusted. Not too bad. I don't know what the term is for when it's like treated so that it doesn't rust. I think somebody had used it and like nailed it together, no longer wanted it, took the not nail or screwed together, took the screws out, and then these people used that for their roofing. So there's just holes wherever there was screws from when the people originally used it. We're gonna have to do a lot of cleanup because the people that used to live there are the kind of people that saved everything. Like, oh, this piece of scrap wood could be used. They've got piles of scrap wood that they were saving and are no longer usable, in my opinion. Full of nails and just, I've got to get rid of all of that. Random buckets of oil, like, that's got to go. You could try an Omi or shirt brand hooks. Oh, Omi or Shived. Omi and Shived. If you want to try furls or Leto style hooks that are not as pricey. Oh, that's an interesting alternative. I've never heard of those brands. Thank you, Steve. I'm dyslexic, and that hand-spun crochet shawl I made was so hard to read. I'm so sorry, Lindsay. I know that you're talking about your blue and black one. That's very frustrating. And I know you struggled when you made your Lift Your Spirit shawl too. Even though that was charted, I know you still had to like section off pieces of the chart and like find workarounds. I am hypermobile, so I have to be super aware of my body's range of movement when exercising. Oh, okay. Yeah, that is, that's kind of scary. But it's really not, I think it's nice when programs have, what do you call, I already forgot the word, the modifications to limit your range of movement so that you don't end up hurting yourself. Oh yes, definitely to everything you said about strengthening being good for the abdominal muscles in their new normal state. That's just it. The new normal state. I have torn muscles that will never be the same again. Very worth it. Love my daughter, but they will never be the same again. And you end up with this new normal. You're not going to go back to the way you were, but it doesn't mean you can't still be strong and be healthy. I tore my meniscus too, and it's the same thing. I really had to strengthen up my legs, and my legs will always have to be strong to support that knee. Dyslexia, so I'm on YouTube a lot looking up what's this and what's that. What's that mean? Oh, I know that struggle. Knitgram, is diagrams easier for you? She's too young to get the rusted roof reference, but I laughed hard. Yeah, sorry, Mocha. I'm only 32. I don't get it. That scrap wood can totally be used in a bonfire. That's what I'm thinking, but there's a lot of it, so it's going to be a lot of fires for a while. Thank you. Yes, she got your joke, Mocha. Sorry. What is it from a movie? Yes, I used so much tape for the ghost shawl. Yeah, I remember you sending me pictures, and I'm like, what? Whatever works for you. I know some designers color code their patterns with multiple sizes too. I've yet to do that because that frustrates me. And then I would have to create 2 copies. And so I have not been doing that. Well, I have so many suggestions for you guys. I'm going to have to start organizing and piling these into a list. I super appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone who joined the live stream today and anyone who is watching the replay. Thank you for being here and spending some time with me. I hope you guys enjoy hanging out with me and all the silly rants, and hopefully you learned something new and exciting and you feel inspired to do something crafty related. Let me catch up on these. My hip has times now where it's, oh my goodness. Mine isn't as bad as it used to be, as I have noticed my bones being more brittle or stiff. Oh my gosh, Lacey. Oh, that does not sound like a good time. Love Shack song by Beef. Oh, Tin Roof. It just went over my head is what happened. I know that song. Could some of the wood be planned and reused? Some of it, I think. We're just going to have to get through and start like, this is not usable, this is usable, and it's going to be a lot of work. She was singing a line from a song called Love Shack. Yeah, I do know. I mean, the Love Shack's a pretty popular, good song. I forgot. And I just missed it. I'm so focused on everything else. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thanks, Maud. I hope you guys all have a great rest of your week, and I will go ahead and end everything on that note. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you guys next week. And until next time, happy crafting. Bye.